Hey, what's up, guys? This is Greg here. Thanks for tuning in. This is another episode of my podcast. And if this is your first time here, make sure you go check out the other videos. Also, please do me a big favor. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers. And make sure you also hit that bell and you hit that like button. All right. So last time we left off, we were talking about some of the things that I had to do in order to fix some of the issues I had with my body to help me kind of walk a little bit better. So I'm just going to jump right into it. What I had to get was something called the Elizarov frame. And if you're familiar with like an erector set or something like that, it's basically like this large frame. It's like cylindrical. It's like a circle. It goes around your leg. I'm on my right leg, and they make minor adjustments to it every day. So basically what they do is that they take these metal rods and they stick them through your leg in different directions, and they stick it in they stuck it through my ankle as well. And my toes on my right foot were kind of like curled, like not like that, but they were kind of curled. So it was difficult for me to kind of like put certain types of shoes on my right foot. And so what they had to do was they had to do a surgery procedure where if this was my toe, they would have to like make an incision here and then kind of like release whatever tendon or something like that that's in here and straighten out my toe. So to prevent my toe from curling back up, they took these long metal rods. I want to say if this was my toe, they took the rod and they stuck it straight down my toe, down to about here, and it stuck out and it went to the frame. So imagine like the frame is on my leg, and it has a top part that's a circle and it has a bottom part that's a circle as well, and it connected to the bottom part. It hurt. It was something that it was weird looking when I initially saw it. They also have to kind of drill a hole in your leg. I'm sorry if this is like too graphic for some people, but I kind of want to give everyone like a perception of exactly the surgery that I went through, and I want to ensure that I'm giving everyone great description of the type of situation I was in and where I was. This was something that would actually correct, because what happened is my ankle kind of like I think it's called inflection, and it kind of like looked like my ankle rolled inward. So to correct that, they would have to kind of slowly correct it over, I believe I had that on for 6 months. And I believe it was 6 months because I got taken off in the summertime. And this was like 2008, 2009 that I had this on my leg. And every day I would have to do wound care on it, and I had to ensure that it didn't get infected. So, when I would go and take a shower, I had to use certain soaps. I really couldn't put on pants that were constricting. So I had on like a lot of like windbreakers or sweatpants, something with like a zipper on the side to kind of accommodate the size of it. It wasn't huge, but it was very like clunky. And sometimes I would like hit stuff. It wouldn't really hurt. It was very uncomfortable for me to wear this device on my right leg, especially during the winter months, because I really couldn't put like a sock on it on my foot or anything like that. So it was cold, and I also had to go to like therapy. I had to go to the doctor. So it was a task kind of getting around. I was on crutches most of the time. I couldn't put any weight on my foot. I did, but but it was an experience that I would never forget. And this was a necessary surgery. So when this thing was taken off, I think that I actually went into the doctor, and I think I did. I went into like one of the outpatient offices, and I was at HSS. It was a great hospital. So if you ever have like some type of injury, like a hand, foot, back, like it's like one of the best orthopedic hospitals in the world. When I went in, for what I can recollect, I don't think I had like any kind of anesthesia on my foot. And I remember them using like these pliers, and they just kind of pulled it out of my toes, and it wasn't a lot of pain, but it was like very like sharp, like I felt it come out of my bone. And I wasn't able to like bend my toes in. It was just to kind of straighten it out, because from my accident, the muscle on my lower right leg, that muscle was taken out. because of something called compartment syndrome, where it swells. So they had to make cuts on each side of my leg to help reduce the swelling. And, that muscle ended up getting injured so severely that they had to remove it. So, this is just one of the surgeries that I had to have in order to correct and be able to kind of walk a little bit better. Then after that, I had to go to therapy to learn how to walk, not learn how to walk, but kind of fix my, the way I walked, my gait. I think that's what they call it. I believe so. And it was an experience, man. So after I got the Elizabeth frame taken off my foot, at this point, things kind of got a little bit better. A lot of the surgeries kind of slowed down a bit. I didn't have to have as much care because when I came out the hospital, it was always something that happened. I wasn't getting any infections or anything like that, but I was constantly going back and forth to the hospital for different things, for checkups, talking to different doctors, having different surgeries. I had to go get a hand surgery done to kind of help with gaining some mobility back in my hand. I still don't have 100%, but I'm at like 90%. I can like utilize my right. I can do things, but it's just one of those things where it is what it is. I'm really just making the best of everything. So that's really like I wouldn't say my complete story, but that's really like somewhat of my story. And kind of after that, it was kind of everything coasted. Things happened. I moved from the city, and due to just everyone knew where I lived, my address was kind of like public and everything like that, and it wasn't cool. Just like I said in prior episodes, go check them out. I had people showing up at my house, no prior notice. Or if I barely knew them, they would come by the house to see how I'm doing. Like I don't know these people, or sometimes if I did, at that time everybody was real suspect, even certain family at the time. And I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm here to tell you the truth. And I want people to understand that my privacy was paramount. And I just wanted to make sure that my family was safe and everything like that. So now that you guys kind of have a gist of what my story is and how I survived my accident, and now I want to talk a little bit about how I used my injury as motivation and a way to inspire and to help people. Now, I've always had a feeling of wanting to help others, and I developed that since I was young. And when I was younger, I was about around 14, I joined a cadet program, First Marine Cadet Corps in Bushwick, Brooklyn. For those of you who are my subscribers and were in FMCC, what's up? And I wanted to give back to my community. So I joined, and I went through the ranks. I became a leader. I believe it was like a Marine Corps cadet program. And, I made it to the rank of Sergeant Major, and I wanted to help, keep the kids out of, the gang life and drugs and things like that. And it was a big part of my life back then, from the age of 14 to I believe around 21, and that helped mold me kind of into the person of who I am, with being responsible, learning how to push myself, self-discipline, just being accountable for myself and the things that I do, the things that I say, and ensuring that I'm putting the best foot forward. And one thing was always lead by example. And that's what I constantly try to do. So I wanted to give back in that way. So when I got injured, I was trying to figure out, like, what was my purpose? Like, why did I survive? Why did I survive it? And it took me a long time to figure out why. I had plans, to join the Marine Corps. I wanted to be a police officer. And I guess that just wasn't my path. And I believe that God had a different plan for me. He wanted me to do other things, help people in other ways. And my grandmother will always tell me that, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And and I was just like, damn, like this is a lot. But I stuck through it. And I believe that what I was going through, I would be able to help people, and my story would inspire. So I took a while, and I thought about what I wanted to do, how I wanted to help people. And I tried different things, and it just wasn't my cup of tea. So I came out to Long Island, and one day I was driving down the street, and I saw like a sign that said, "Oh, join the fire department." That'd be dope. Like, we need volunteers. What a lot of people don't know is that 75% of the fire departments in the United States are volunteer. They're not all city firemen. They're not all paid firemen, I should say. Not city firemen, but they're not all paid firemen. Mostly like the big cities and stuff like that. They're usually like paid on a job, or depending on, what type of town you live in, they have the budget. They may have like some paid personnel, but for the most part, most fire departments are volunteer. So I joined the fire department. It was I believe like a 3-month wait to get in. Finally got in, and I went in and applied to be a fireman. So at the time I had to go through the fire academy, and we had mostly training at the local firehouse. So in my experience, what I recognized was that a lot of the local fire departments, they did their own trainings, and they would teach their probies, proper fire procedure and everything like that to prepare them for the fire academy. So you're going into the fire academy knowing certain things. So, where I live, it was at my former firehouse, it was 1 year of probationary training. So that was every Sunday, regardless of the weather, what you did last night, you had to be at practice. If I remember correctly, I believe practice started at 8 o'clock, but you had to be there like 7:30 so you could do inventory on the trucks and ambulances, ensuring that everything was up to spec. So you want to make sure all the tools are on the truck, make sure they're operational. You want to ensure that if the ambulance is low on supplies, you want to refill the supplies. Like, you had to do all this inventory stuff because, you don't want to get to a scene and pull up and you don't have the proper tools to get the job done. So it was tough. It was a full year of every Sunday getting up, going to practice, from about 8 to 12. The worst was like the summer times, because you had to wear your summer, the fire gear in the summer. You're crawling around doing searches and stuff like that, practice searches and stuff like that, bailing out of windows. It was fun when we got to actually use the hose and put out car fires and stuff like that. So it was very enjoyable. And then you had to sign up for fire school. So I believe fire school was like, I can't remember. I think it was like a couple of weekends or something like that. And you had to do different things, just put your gear on in a certain amount of time, just different stuff. So got through that, got off probation. I was actually in the fire department for 6 years. And right after I finished with my firefighter training, I applied for an EMT. So I went through that training for about 6 months and 2 nights a week, and I got my EMT certification. And then I was able to ride on they call it a bus, on an ambulance, and that was cool. The firehouse I was at, it was a whole bunch of great men and women who worked there, and they did a great job. And I loved every second of it, but, I had kids and I didn't have enough time to dedicate to the fire service. And I had to resign from, being a volunteer fireman. And that was a tough decision to make. But at the end of the day, I had to do what's best for myself and my family, and just make sure that everyone was taken care of, on top of also having, a running business at the time. I actually went through fire service. I actually had started one business. Hurricane Sandy came and just annihilated everything at the time. And then I had started another towing business, which I did for like 5 years. And yeah, I between the fire service and having a business, it was tough. And then having kids on top of that. So, I didn't want to sacrifice my time with my children. So I had to pick. And, I picked my business and my family over, the fire service. If you ever see like a volunteer fireman or fireman, if you ever see a volunteer firefighter or EMT, just, maybe buy them lunch, buy them a coffee or something like that. Because, they're up all types of times on the night dealing with the public, and, they get out of their beds to come to respond and to help you when you need it most. And it's a thankless job, but you volunteer to do it, and you already know that you're not going to get the gratitude from the public, because they just assume that oh well, this is your job. All right, so now that we got most of my life, we didn't touch on everything, but we got out of like a chunk, probably like a good 12 years. out of the way on the past episodes. So now I want to kind of like change gears and kind of talk about how to build that unbreakable mindset. And I think that's something that's very important for people who are going through something. Everybody's going through something. And what I find that a lot of people say is that, oh, you don't understand what I'm going through. You will never understand. Everybody's going through something. You're not the only one. You can go out there and throw a rock and probably hit somebody and say like, oh, you're going through something. But some people hide it. They're very good at hiding and being, oh no, I'm good. There's nothing going on. Everything's great. But deep down inside, they know that they're hurt. Something's going on with them. And what I find is that when you look deep down inside yourself and you say, look, I'm not happy. I'm not happy with my life. I'm not happy with my job. I hate my job, getting up every day, doing the same thing, right? I know that feeling. I had that feeling, so I know what you feel like. And recognizing that feeling of it, only you can change that. You can change it. So you just got to take that first step and asking yourself, how can I change it? So when people ask me, hey, Greg, how do you always stay positive? So I'm not always positive. I have my bad days, but I understand that there are things that need to be done. What do you do on days when you don't want to do anything? There aren't days like I get up and I do it. Not because I want to, because I have to. I found my why. I found that fire as to why I need to do these things. Even though I don't feel like getting up at 4:30 every morning, coming down and writing my affirmations, doing content, or whatever else I do. I do a lot, but I just have to do it. There is no, oh, I don't feel like it today, so I'm not gonna do anything. No, doesn't work like that. So what I tell people is it takes work. It takes hard work. I showed up for myself. And what a lot of people are lacking are not showing up for themselves. They'll get their butt up. They'll get in the shower. They'll get dressed. They'll commute to work. They'll show up for their boss. But when it's time to show up for themselves, they want to sleep in. They want to sleep late. Instead of getting up early and working on yourself, you want to take that time to sleep. Don't do that. Get your butt up. Work on yourself. But I'm going to end this video here. If you want to see more of this content, please make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button, hit that bell, so when I post new stuff, you'll get the notification. Leave a comment below. What do you want to see? What do you want to talk about? So yeah, follow me on social media, and remember, just believe in self. That's all it takes. Later.